We appreciate it. Madam City Clerk?
Alrighty, we are now at our final report for the night, and that is a PowerPoint presentation on our all-mail ballot elect. And I believe IT has PowerPoint, and Marin, City Council, I emailed it to everyone. Hopefully you received it. Is that a yes?
I didn't, I got it, but I was here and didn't get a chance to print, so I don't have it here in front of me, so I'm gonna have to try to follow through on the, here with you as best I can.
Okay, it should be in your email.
It is, but I can't, my phone is so tiny, I can't see.
Okay.
I need a larger phone.
Okay, so again, I'll be presenting the all-mail ballot election. The election will be held on April the 20th, 2021. And that's our primary election. If we can go to the second page. What gives us the legal authority? On October the 6th of 2020, the City Council adopted ordinance number 2325 by adding section 623 to the Compton Municipal Code, which gives the authority for an all-mail ballot election for the City of Compton. Next page. The key components of the all-mail ballot election is that every registered voter will receive their voter information guide, which is known as the sample ballot, and they will also receive the official ballot along with instructions on how to vote the actual ballot. All returned ballots, voted ballots, will be verified by the County Register Recorder's Office, and when I say verified, that means all signatures will be verified through their voter database. Also, there's 3 permanent drop-off locations in the City of Compton. One is at Leaders Park, one is at the Compton Library here on Compton Boulevard, and the other is at East Rancho Dominguez Library on Rose Street. The advantages to the citizens will be that they can cast their ballots early in the comforts of their homes. They don't have to deal with parking. There's no waiting in line at the polls. And the convenience is that the ballots will be, or the envelopes will be pre-stamped, so there's no need to put a stamp on it. Your ballots can be given to your mail carrier or dropped off at the post office, or again, dropped off any one of those 3 permanent drop-off locations that was just mentioned. The advantages to the city is that through the all-mail voting, this will allow the accuracy of the eligible voters, meaning that this will help the county update their rosters, because if ballots are sent out, they will be returned if that person no longer lives at that address, or if it's a bad address, whatever the case may be. It will allow the county to update their roster and remove those individuals from the roster. And also, the goal is to hope that this will increase the voter turnout, because again, everyone will receive a ballot. And as of yesterday, November the 9th, citywide, there's a total of 49,396 registered voters in the City of Compton. And as you can see on your PowerPoint, there's a breakdown. District 1, there's 13,345 registered voters. District 2, 10,028 registered voters. District 3, 13,884 registered voters. In District 4, there's 12,139 registered voters. This is a slight increase from when we received our initial cost estimate. So it's maybe about 100 or so increase. our election cost estimate. So option number one for the election, the city can choose to conduct an all-mail election only, which means there'll be no in-person voting, and then we can utilize the 3 drop-off ballot box locations, and that estimate is the $385,000. And option number two is that the city can conduct an all-mail election with in-person voting at the vote centers, and this will take us back up to the $703,000 cost. Anytime you add any additional services outside of the all-mail, the strict all-mail election, the cost increases. So even if we just wanted to have one vote center, it still would go into the $703,000 cost. But the $385,000 is strictly all-mail election with no in-person voting. I had asked the question that if I could add the clerk's office, City Hall as one of the drop-off locations, but even that will take us outside of the all-mail, and of course they would, it would increase, but not as much. So if we, from the 385, if we want to add more drop-off locations, then it will slightly increase. So the next slide is, so what's next? The following, I'm sorry. Thank you. The following resolutions and ordinances will need to be adopted by December the 8th, and that's the ordinance calling for the primary and general elections, as well as a resolution requesting the county to render election services, and then also the resolution to conduct an all-mail election for 2021. So what will be on the ballot? Next slide, please. The offices on the ballot, it's a total of 6. It's the mayor, which is a citywide position for a 4-year term. City Council District 2, 4-year term, and that's a district only. City Council District 3, 4-year term, that also is a district only. And the city attorney, city clerk, and city treasurer, which are all citywide positions. The filing period will open on December the 28th, 2020, and closes on January the 25th, 2021. And that concludes my presentation. If there are any questions or comments.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk, for compiling all of this information and presenting to the council. Any comments or questions by the council for Madam City Clerk?
I just want to say that I think it was a really good presentation you did, Alita, and it was very detailed. So I got a great picture now of what the upcoming election will look like.
Madam Mayor, I did have a question for the city clerk. In option 1, that's all mail in ballots, right?
Correct.
Now, this fee you have here, $385,000, if they're just for the primary, am I correct?
You are correct.
Okay. And so therefore we still, we have that amount for the primary, and so then the general, that you have to figure out what that is later, that depends on how does it work.
That is correct. I couldn't get them to give me an estimate because, of course, the general election would depend on the outcome of the primary election. If someone outright wins in the primary, of course, there's no way to, so if, let's say, out of the 6 races, 3 were decided in the primary, then you would only have 3 races even.
Okay, because it's a change, and you may not have as many, so a lot of to factor into that, so that's where they could not do that fee, that pricing at this time. Okay,
Correct, because you wouldn't be able to give, or you wouldn't want to give a cost for six positions when you don't know that there will be six positions on the June ballot.
okay, I got you. And also too, on option two, you said now this is the city can choose to
Have
conduct
a
an
good one.
all-mail ballot election with limited in-person voting. That would like take us up to 703. Does that
Yes,
depends on how many voting centers we have? How does it work? If you have one voting center, will their price be the same? How does it work?
yes, the price would be the same. It would fall in the 703,000.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
you would be able to have more than one center, of course, but just one center because I asked if we just have one central place, vote center. But again, they said that will take it over to 703,000 versus 785.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Clerk, is it
Good job.
possible?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is it possible for us to revisit this presentation maybe perhaps in a week or so? I'd like to just really see the turnout for people voting in person versus the vote by mail for this most recent election. I know that the numbers are still being tabulated, and it'll just be helpful to know how people adjusted in the pandemic times, and if more people are voting by mail or in person. It would just kind of give a clear picture because I don't want to see people almost feeling like they're disenfranchised if we don't give them the option. I do support the vote by mail in general, and also with the addition of the voting centers. So I know that that does not provide as much cost relief, but I do think the vote by mail is a safe way to vote. And moving forward, I think that that obviously will be the future. And just for clarity, you have been making this recommendation for many years, ever since I've been on the council, and I'm sure before that. So you were definitely ahead of the time, and now it's something that is commonplace throughout cities. So again, thank you for your expertise and recommendations, Madam City Clerk.
You're welcome, Madam Mayor. And if I did speak with the county as of yesterday as well, because I wanted to give you information on voter turnout, but I was informed that because the law changed and it's now everyone receives a ballot, they no longer keep those stats. So
Oh,
not, that's why it's not here because everyone receives a ballot. So technically, everyone is permanent vote by mail. And but they inform me that they don't keep those stats anymore.
Oh wow.
But
Wow.
the best that I can do is go back into our history and give you the history of ours, previous elections, if you want that. But as it relates to the citywide or the countywide, they don't keep those stats anymore.
very helpful. You answered my question. I think everyone receiving a ballot at home would hopefully increase voter turnout because a lot of the feedback that we receive is that people sometimes don't know that there is an election, except for those that vote by mail, and they're obviously voters anyway because they're requesting a vote by mail ballot. So I think
Yes.
everyone receiving a ballot at home will definitely have a positive impact on voter turnout for Compton. So I think it's a positive move in the right direction. And I want to say, I made this recommendation many times, and I just
Many
want to
times. Yes, you did.
I did, and
underscore.
I want to say to this council, thank you so much for seeing this, or actually for adopting. I knew at some point through all of my training. That it was gonna be something we were just gonna have to do, and so, I thank you for, adopting the ordinance and moving this forward, and, hopefully, our turnout will be even greater. It saddens me that as much money and effort that we put into elections, and we have such a low turnout, so hopefully the money will be, better spent or well spent, or we'll get our money's worth, with the turnout. So that I pray that is our goal, and that we, see more people exercising their right at the local level.
I agree.
I have a question, Madam Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk, for that presentation. Unfortunately, we have to pay anything, but that's where we are now. But I have a question. How are the voting centers picked? Is there any way that we can get a voting center in the west side? Just for safety purposes. A lot of people can't make it over to the east side. Looters and Compton Library are 1 mile apart. What's Compton Boulevard and 1500 Rosecrans, and then the maintenance is up the street. It seems like that they're all on that side. We don't have anything on the west side for districts 1 and 3.
That's what my question was gonna be.
So the permanent ballot boxes were placed based on the presidential election. So although there may not be any in the areas that you want or closer to it, we can always, or what they explained to me yesterday is that in the future we can always put additional boxes. But again, given the process of putting those ballot boxes in, because of course they're drilled in the concrete, they have to be built, those type of things. So to keep our costs at as minimum as we can, they suggested that we just utilize the permanent boxes that are located here now. Also, if they don't want to go to the permanent drop-off boxes, again, they can give it to their mail carrier. They can take it to the post office. So those options are still, they can still utilize that. So if there's not one close to them, they can still mail it. I think we'll be over the post office drama or fear by the time April comes. I know there was a fear in this last election.
Well, according to number 45, it's still a fear. So.
I don't know. We got some people in Compton.
Well, we can't safeguard everything, but there is options as well as they can, if they can't get to a ballot box drop off, then they can still, give it to their mail carrier. And again, it's all pre-stamped, so no postage necessary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Madam Mayor,